The music was still playing when it happened. I was standing near the edge of the dance floor, smiling, clapping along with everyone else, when my sister's voice cut through the room like a knife. She was the bride, the center of attention, dressed in white and glowing under the lights. Everyone was watching her, and then she turned to me. "This," she said, her voice loud enough for the microphone to carry across the entire hall, "is why I didn't want you near the front. I knew you'd find a way to make this about yourself." The laughter that followed wasn't the warm kind. It was sharp, nervous, and it spread like fire among the 200 guests. Heads turned. I felt every pair of eyes land on me. My cheeks burned. My hands froze where they were clapping. I didn't even understand what she meant, but the words cut all the same. I tried to smile, to make it seem like I wasn't bothered, but my throat tightened. My sister had always been careful with her image, sweet, polite, adored by family and friends. No one ever saw the other side of her, the side that seemed to save its sharpest edges just for me. And now, in front of everyone, she let it slip. A few guests whispered to each other, eyebrows raised. I heard one woman murmur, "Oh my God." Someone else giggled uncomfortably. My aunt, sitting near the front, gave me a small shake of her head as if warning me not to react. But how could I not? I stood there, frozen, my heart pounding so loud I thought people could hear it. My sister laughed, her perfect bridal laugh, and waved her hand as though it was all just a joke. But the sting lingered. A joke? At my expense? On the most important day of her life? I felt the urge to run, but my legs wouldn't move. My eyes blurred with tears I refused to let fall. I kept telling myself, don't give her the satisfaction. Don't cry. Not here. The DJ tried to cover the moment by turning the music up louder, urging people to come back to the dance floor. Some did, grateful for the distraction. But others kept sneaking glances at me, their curiosity plain. They wanted to know what my sister meant. They wanted to know why she would humiliate me like that, why she would choose her wedding day to make me small. And the truth was, I didn't know. Or maybe I did, but I had buried it so deep I didn't want to admit it to myself. I stood there, my hands trembling, feeling smaller and smaller under the weight of 200 stares. My sister was glowing, her new husband beside her, everyone toasting to their future. And me? I was left with nothing but questions and the ache of betrayal. Why did she do it? Why me? The answer wouldn't come that night, but I would soon learn the truth, and it would hurt more than I ever imagined. My name is Claire. I am 27 years old, the quiet one in my family, the one people often overlook. Growing up, I was always the listener, the helper, the person who stayed in the background while others took the spotlight. My sister, Anna, is 2 years older than me, and from the time we were little, she was the shining star. She was the one everyone admired, beautiful, confident, outspoken. I never felt jealous of her, not at first. I loved her, and I wanted her to shine. When we were children, Anna and I were close. We shared a room until she left for college. We whispered secrets under the covers, laughed until our stomachs hurt, and promised we would always have each other's backs. I remember braiding her hair before school, and she would sit there bossing me around like a queen, but I didn't mind. She was my sister. She was my best friend. But as we got older, something changed. It was small things at first, her teasing me in front of her friends, rolling her eyes when I spoke, making little comments that made me feel small. Everyone thought she was just being playful, but I felt the sting. Whenever I tried to stand up for myself, she'd smile sweetly and say, "Claire, don't be so sensitive." I started to believe her. Maybe I was too sensitive. Maybe the problem was me. My parents adored Anna. To them, she could do no wrong. She had good grades, dated popular boys, and later got a great job in marketing. She made them proud. I, on the other hand, was the one who stumbled. I switched majors twice in college, struggled with self-confidence, and ended up working a job I didn't love just to pay the bills. My parents never said they were disappointed, but I felt it in their silences, in the way their eyes lingered on Anna with pride and on me with quiet concern. Still, despite all of this, I wanted to believe that deep down, Anna and I were still sisters, still connected. When she got engaged, I was genuinely happy for her. She called me late one night, squealing with excitement, and for a moment it felt like we were little girls again, whispering secrets in the dark. I remember crying tears of joy for her. I thought maybe this wedding would bring us closer, that maybe she'd let me back into her world the way she used to. But as the wedding planning went on, I noticed cracks forming. She kept me at a distance. I wasn't her maid of honor. That role went to her best friend from college. I wasn't even deeply involved in the planning. My tasks were small, unimportant, helping with place cards, carrying dresses, making phone calls. I told myself it didn't matter. It was her day, not mine. Still, a part of me felt the sting of being pushed aside. The week before the wedding, I barely saw her. She was busy with final touches, surrounded by her friends and our mother, always laughing, always glowing. I wanted to talk to her, to remind her that I was still here, But every time I tried, she brushed me off. "I'm so busy, Claire." Later. But later never came. On the morning of the wedding, I looked at myself in the mirror and whispered, "Be happy for her. Don't let anything ruin this day." I wore the dress she picked for me. I curled my hair the way she liked. I told myself I was nervous but hopeful. Maybe today would be different. Maybe she would see me, truly see me, and we would remember what it felt like to be sisters again. But that hope was fragile. I carried it into the wedding hall like a fragile glass cup, afraid it would shatter if I held it too tightly. And deep down, I knew this wasn't just a wedding. This was a defining moment for our family. All of our relatives, friends, and neighbors were there. Everyone was watching. For me, it felt like a chance to finally belong, to stand in the same light as my sister without feeling like a shadow. That's why her words cut so deeply when she humiliated me in front of everyone. It wasn't just about a cruel comment at a wedding. It was about years of being silenced, years of being made to feel small, and the quiet hope that maybe, just maybe, this time would be different. But instead, I was reminded of the truth. In her world, there was only room for one star, and it was never going to be me. The ceremony itself had been beautiful. The church was filled with flowers, candles, and soft music. Anna looked like a dream in her wedding dress, and when she walked down the aisle, everyone gasped in admiration. I clapped and smiled, even though my chest felt heavy. I wanted to be happy for her. I told myself over and over, this is her day, not mine. It wasn't until the reception that everything changed. The hall was bright, decorated with gold and white. 200 guests filled the room, eating, drinking, laughing. Speeches had been made, toasts were raised, and everything seemed perfect. Then came the moment that would stay with me forever. The DJ invited Anna and her new husband to the center of the floor for their first dance. Everyone gathered around, clapping and cheering. I stood close to the front, smiling, holding back tears because it was emotional to see her so happy. The song played, soft and romantic, and the whole room seemed wrapped in love. When the dance ended, Anna took the microphone. She thanked the guests for coming, thanked our parents for their support, and thanked her new husband for choosing her. People clapped and cheered. Then she looked straight at me. "And finally," she said, her smile sharp, "let's all give a round of applause for my sister Claire. I mean, it's a miracle she showed up on time for once." The crowd laughed. At first, I tried to laugh along, but the sound died in my throat. She wasn't finished. "You all know Claire," she continued, her voice bright, carrying through the speakers. "Always the one running late. Always the one with some drama. Always. Well, let's just say she's not exactly known for making good choices." Laughter again. But this time it wasn't nervous. It was louder, stronger. People looked at me, some with pity, some with amusement. My heart dropped into my stomach. I could barely breathe. I forced a smile, but inside I was breaking. Why would she say that? Why would she use her wedding day, her moment of joy, to humiliate me in front of everyone? She handed the microphone back to the DJ, laughing like it was all harmless fun, but I saw the glint in her eyes. This wasn't a joke. This was intentional. I wanted to disappear. My face burned hot, my hands shook, and my throat ached as I swallowed back tears. A couple of cousins avoided my gaze, pretending they hadn't heard. My aunt whispered to the person next to her and shook her head. My mother sat stiff, her smile frozen, her hands clapping along as if nothing was wrong. My father looked down at his plate. No one defended me. No one said a word. I excused myself and slipped into the bathroom, locking the stall behind me. That's when the tears came. Silent at first, then harder, until my whole body shook. I pressed my hands against my mouth to stop the sobs from echoing. The words kept replaying in my mind, not exactly known for making good choices. That wasn't just a jab about being late or careless. That was about my life, about the mistakes I had made, the times I had failed. She was airing out my wounds in front of 200 people. She wanted them to laugh at me, to see me as the sister who could never measure up. It hit me then. This wasn't just about today. This was about years of resentment she had been holding on to. The teasing, the eye rolls, the cutting remarks, they had all built up to this moment. And she chose her wedding, the biggest stage she would ever have, to let it all out. I stayed in that stall for as long as I could, wiping my face, reapplying lipstick, telling myself I wouldn't give her the satisfaction of seeing me broken. When I finally walked back into the hall, the music was loud again, people were dancing, and laughter filled the air. It was like nothing had happened, but inside me something had shifted. The humiliation still burned, but beneath it was something new, anger. For years, I had let her make me feel small. For years, I had believed I was too sensitive, that maybe it really was my fault. But not anymore. This wasn't about me being sensitive. This was about her choosing to hurt me. This was about something darker that I didn't yet understand. And as I stood there, trying to hold my head up while people danced around me, the wedding ended with music and laughter. But for me it felt like walking out of a storm without shelter. My smile was glued to my face until the very last guest left, but the moment I got into my car, the tears came. My hands gripped the steering wheel as I sat in the parking lot, unable to drive. I kept hearing her words again and again, each one hitting me like a slap. Not exactly known for making good choices. By the time I got home, my phone was buzzing. Messages from friends. Some said, "Don't take it too seriously, she was joking." Others sent little laughing emojis, like it was the funniest thing they had ever heard. One friend even wrote, "You know Anna's always been like that, right? She didn't mean harm." But I knew she did. I knew it in the way she looked at me when she said it. Her eyes sharp, her smile wide. The next morning, it got worse. A cousin posted a short clip from the wedding on Instagram. The video caught the exact moment Anna made her joke about me. People commented with laughing faces, tagging each other, saying things like, "Sisters will be sisters," or "Ouch, that's harsh but funny." By noon, half the family had seen it. Neighbors saw it. People I barely knew sent me links, asking if I was okay. It spread faster than I could keep up. I wanted to crawl into a hole and never come out. I couldn't even go to the grocery store without worrying someone had seen the video. My chest felt heavy all the time. My stomach knotted. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I replayed the moment over and over until it consumed me. When I finally gathered the courage to visit my parents, hoping for comfort, I was met with silence. My mother made me tea but avoided the subject. My father tried to distract me with small talk. When I finally asked, "Why didn't you say anything when she humiliated me?" my mother sighed. "Claire, it was her wedding day. We didn't want to cause a scene," she said. "So you let her make me the joke of the night?" I asked, my voice trembling. "She didn't mean it like that," my father added quietly. "You're taking it too seriously. Anna was just excited. You know how she is." I stared at them, feeling like a stranger in my own family. My parents had chosen silence over me. Once again, Anna's happiness was more important than my pain. The worst part was the divide in the family. A few relatives reached out, saying they thought Anna had gone too far. An aunt called me late at night and whispered she was cruel. I don't know why no one stopped her, but most people stayed quiet or laughed it off. Some even sided with Anna, saying I was making drama out of nothing. One cousin texted, "You've always been too sensitive, Claire." She didn't say anything that wasn't true. That message broke me. It was like my sister's words had given everyone else permission to pile on. At work, things weren't any better. A coworker who had been at the wedding thought it was funny to bring it up during lunch. "So Claire made any bad choices today?" he joked, and a few people laughed. My cheeks burned as I forced a laugh back, but inside, I was crumbling. The humiliation followed me everywhere. Social media kept reminding me with clips and comments. I couldn't escape it. Every time my phone buzzed, I felt sick. Every time I stepped outside, I felt eyes on me, like people were whispering about me. I started to doubt myself in ways I never had before. Was Anna right? Was I really nothing more than the sister who always messed up? Maybe that's why my parents never bragged about me. Maybe that's why people never looked at me the way they looked at her. I felt worthless, like I was living in her shadow and always would be. Nights were the hardest. I would lie awake, staring at the ceiling, hearing her voice over and over. Sometimes I cried until I couldn't breathe. Other times I felt angry enough to want to call her and scream, to tell her she had ruined me. But then the anger would fade, replaced by that deep, heavy sadness that made me feel small again. Days blurred into each other. I avoided family gathering. I ignored texts. I stopped going out with friends. I felt like the whole world had turned against me, or maybe I had turned against myself. The only thing that kept me going was the tiny flame of anger that refused to die out. For years, I had let her make me feel small. For years, I told myself it didn't matter, that I just needed to be tougher. But this was different. She had crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. She had stripped me bare in front of 200 people and laughed while doing it. I realized this wasn't just about one wedding, one joke. This was about years of resentment, years of her needing to prove she was better than me, years of me letting her do it. The wedding was only the stage. The real story was the rivalry that had been burning between us all along, one I had tried to deny but could no longer ignore. Every glance from family, every whisper in the community, every replay of that clip on social media fueled the fire inside me. At first, I thought it would destroy me, but slowly it began to change me. I didn't know how yet. I didn't know when. But deep in my chest, beneath the hurt and humiliation, something new was forming. I wasn't going to stay the quiet shadow forever. It happened 2 weeks after the wedding. I hadn't spoken to Anna since that night, though she had sent a few short texts like nothing was wrong. "Hope you're okay," she wrote once. Another time, "Don't be mad, Claire. It was just a joke." I ignored them, but when our mother called and said Anna wanted me to come over for dinner, I couldn't avoid it anymore. I told myself I would stay calm. I told myself I would just sit, eat, and leave. But the moment I saw her standing in her kitchen, smiling like she had done nothing wrong. The anger I had been holding in boiled over. "Claire," she said cheerfully, pulling me into a hug I didn't return. "I'm so glad you came. I've been meaning to talk to you." "Talk," I said, my voice already sharp. "Or laugh at me again?" Her smile faltered. "Oh, come on. Are we still on that? You know I didn't mean anything by it. You humiliated me, Anne, in front of everyone, and then you let it spread online like some kind of comedy clip. Do you have any idea how that felt?" Her jaw tightened. She looked away, then back at me. "You're overreacting. People have already forgotten." "No, they haven't," I snapped. "They bring it up to me at work, on the street. You turned me into a joke." For the first time, she didn't look smug. She looked angry. "Why does it always have to be about you? It was my wedding day. Everything was supposed to be about me, but somehow, you still found a way to make yourself the victim." Her words stunned me. "I didn't do anything. I stood there and clapped for you. I smiled for you. I wanted you to be happy, Anna. I always have." She laughed, but it was bitter. "You don't get it, do you? You've always had it easier, Claire." I stared at her, not believing what I was hearing. "Easier? You were the golden child. Mom and Dad adored you. Everyone adored you. I was invisible." Her eyes filled with tears, but her voice was sharp. "Invisible? You don't know what it was like being me. Always having to be perfect. Always being compared. Always afraid of slipping because then people would finally see I wasn't as good as they thought." I shook my head, my chest tight. "That's not true. No one ever compared you to me. I was never competition." "That's the problem," she shouted. "You got to fail. You got to make mistakes, switch majors, take wrong turns, and people just shrugged. But me? I had to be perfect. I had to carry the family pride. And every time you messed up, they looked at me to prove that not all hope was lost. Do you know how exhausting that is?" I blinked, the truth of her words sinking in slowly. She wasn't mocking me at the wedding because she thought I was a joke. She was mocking me because she was angry. Angry that I had the freedom to stumble while she carried the weight of being flawless. "So that's why you did it?" I asked softly. "You wanted to punish me for being human?" Her voice cracked. "I wanted people to laugh with me for once, not at me. I wanted to let go of the pressure for one moment. And I took it out on you." The room went quiet. I felt tears sting my eyes, but this time they weren't only from hurt. They were from years of silence, years of swallowing my feeling. "You don't get to do that," I said finally, my voice trembling but steady. "You don't get to humiliate me just because you're tired of pretending to be perfect. You don't get to use me as your punching bag." Anna looked down, her shoulders shaking. For the first time, she seemed small, not the shining star, but just a broken person trying to hold herself together. I stepped closer, my hands shaking. "Do you know what it felt like, standing there while 200 people laughed at me? Do you know how it feels to have strangers online call me pathetic? I've spent my whole life in your shadow, Anne. I've defended you, supported you, loved you even when you hurt me. But that night, you didn't just hurt me, you crushed me. And for what? So you could finally feel free." Her tears fell then, but I didn't stop. The words poured out like they had been waiting my whole life. "I'm done being the quiet sister. I'm done letting you define me. You think I had it easier because I wasn't perfect? No. I had it harder because no one ever saw me at all. And you made sure of that. But not anymore." She covered her face, sobbing. "I didn't mean to ruin you, Claire. I was jealous. I was so jealous that you could live without the weight I carried. And I hated you for it." I stood there, my heart breaking and healing at the same time. "I never wanted you to carry that weight. I just wanted a sister." Silence filled the room, heavy and raw. For the first time, we weren't bride and shadow, golden girl and mistake. We were just two sisters, broken by years of misunderstanding, standing in the wreckage of it all. But even as I looked at her, I knew something had changed. I had spoken my truth. I had finally stood up for myself. And whether or not she understood, whether or not she apologized, I was never going back to who I was before. After that night at Anna's house, I walked home with a strange calm in my chest. For the first time in years, I had said everything I needed to say. I didn't leave feeling victorious, and I didn't leave feeling crushed either. I just felt free. For days, I replayed the confrontation in my head. The shouting, the tears, the truth spilling out between us. A part of me hoped she would call to apologize, to finally admit how deeply she had hurt me. But she didn't. And for the first time, I realized that maybe I didn't need her apology to move forward. I started small. I deleted the video clip from my phone and muted anyone who kept tagging me in it. I couldn't control what people said online, but I could control what I let into my life. The first night, I went to sleep without checking the comments. I felt like I could breathe again. Then I made a bigger choice. I decided not to go to every family gathering. For so long, I had forced myself to show up, to sit quietly, to prove I was still part of the family. But each time I did, I left feeling invisible or bruised. So I gave myself permission to step back. At first, my parents didn't understand. My mother asked, "Are you really not coming to Sunday dinner?" and my father sighed heavily, disappointed. But I stood firm. I need space, I told them. If that makes you upset, I'm sorry, but I can't keep pretending everything is fine. It wasn't easy. Guilt gnawed at me. But each time I chose myself over their expectations, the guilt grew lighter, and my strength grew heavier. I leaned on the people who truly cared about me. My friend Leah, who had quietly told me at the wedding that Anna's words were cruel, invited me over one night with a bottle of wine. We sat on her couch laughing, talking, and for the first time in weeks, I felt normal. She looked at me and said, "You know, Claire, you're more than what your family thinks you are. You're more than Anna's shadow." Her words sank deep. I began to see myself differently. I wasn't the weak one, the failure, the joke. I was someone who had survived years of being belittled, someone who was still standing despite it all. That wasn't weakness. That was strength. I started doing little things for myself. I signed up for a painting class, something I had always wanted to try but never did because I thought it wasn't practical. I started jogging in the mornings, clearing my mind with each step. I even updated my resume and applied for a job that excited me, even though it scared me. Each step felt like reclaiming a piece of myself that I had lost. Anna stayed quiet during this time. Occasionally, I heard from relatives that she was upset I had pulled away, that she wished things could go back to normal. But I didn't rush to fix it. For the first time in my life, I didn't bend myself to keep the peace. If she wanted to fix things, she had to do the work, not me. One night, as I stood in front of the mirror, brushing my hair, I thought back to that moment on the dance floor. The sting of her words still lived somewhere inside me, but it no longer defined me. I had been humiliated, yes, but I had also risen from it. I had found a voice I didn't know I had. I whispered to my reflection, "You're enough, Claire." And I believed it. Healing wasn't quick, and it wasn't perfect. Some days I still felt the ache of betrayal, the old habits of doubt trying to creep back in. But each time, I reminded myself of the truth. I didn't need Anna's approval. I didn't need my parents' validation. I didn't need to prove myself to anyone. For once, I was living for me, and that was enough. A few weeks later, I visited the park near my apartment. It was quiet that evening, the sun sinking low, painting the sky in soft pink and orange. Children's laughter echoed from the playground, and the sound made me smile. I sat on a bench, watching the light fade, and for the first time in a long time, I felt peace. I thought about everything that had happened, the wedding, the whispers, the confrontation, the silence that followed. The old me would have carried that pain forever, letting it weigh me down. But now, I understood something. My sister's words didn't define me. My family's silence didn't erase me. I had survived the humiliation, and I had found myself in the process. I pulled out a small notebook I had started carrying. On the first page, I wrote, "I am not her shadow. I am my own light." The words looked simple on the page, but they carried all the strength I had found. As the sky grew darker, I stood up and walked away from the bench. My steps were steady, my shoulders straight. For years, I had walked through life hunched, afraid of being too much or not enough. But not anymore. I didn't know what the future would hold for me, or if Anna and I would ever heal what was broken. But I knew this. I no longer needed her approval or anyone's to feel worthy. That night, as I walked home under the fading glow of the sunset, I felt lighter, stronger, free. And for the first time, I wasn't just surviving. I was finally living. Hey besties, thanks for watching till the end. Can you believe my own sister humiliated me at her wedding in front of 200 people? What she said exposed years of jealousy and betrayal. But I stood tall, found my strength, and proved I don't need her approval to shine. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like,